Hello, everybody. Welcome. Can you hear me well? Can you see my screen? Is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Yes.
Michael, may I ask you to mute because I hear a music on the background when you are talking. Okay, so guys, our topic today is how to become a competitive QA, pass an interview, and get a job. So we will talk about an interview today. Okay, you are in the very beginning of the course, but it doesn't mean that you should not think about your interview, because during the whole course, you will get soft skills, you will get hard skills that will help you to get a job fast. And today we will have an overview of the interviews, of the skills, and of the ways that you could pass an interview to the company of your dream. Traditionally, we will start all our classes from your questions from the textbook. Not only today, but from today on each class that you will have with us. Before today's workshop, you had an interesting chapter from the textbook about the employment and about the ways how to get your job faster, how to pass the interview, how to find companies where somebody needs a QA immediately, and so on. And I'm ready for your questions, if any. Please feel free to ask me.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Arina?
Yes,
I
have a question about internship. Yes. No, not internship. About okay. Did I understand correctly about confirming our activity? I mean, about job search.
Yeah.
We need to report once a week or every day, a part of every day, and mentor check it only one day in week.
No,
or every day.
You should report weekly. So you have a sprint. This is a piece of time a week when you are doing some activities. You are writing cover letters. You are sending your data to some guys in the companies you are interested in. In the end of this period, in the end of week, typically it is Wednesday, you should report your mentor about your activities. So the list of the companies that you kicked to, the list of the companies where you send the feedback to the vacancy, and so on. And your mentor together with you, so you know that system, everything is clear for you. You will count your grade after this week. This is for you to be more motivated and to understand the process and to understand if you are active enough or not.
Yes, I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you have enough grading after this week, you stay in the process still, and you continue your activity. And that works because, for example, we have one guy that spent only 2 weeks to get a job in this process. We have one girl from Israel who got a job from one interview only. So it works, and this process is like your job, like your additional job. So you should consider it like your additional job. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Does it mean that everything is clear, or does it mean that nobody can understand nothing?
Well, everything is more or less clear so far.
Okay, good, good. If we have no questions from the textbook, we can go further, and I will ask you a question about your homework results. What is your impression from this homework? Was it difficult? Was it interesting for you? What do you think?
Well, it wasn't particularly difficult. And well, it was interesting at first. But the thing is that we have already talked about this when we all talked about this in the initial exam. And so the only thing I had to do was to rephrase it in a shorter manner.
Okay, okay. Any other opinions? Thanks, Michael.
It was super difficult for me. And when I write some sentences about myself and about my previous job, I thought about, oh my God, I do it all this thing. I'm brilliant.
Yeah, that's why it is very useful to have a CV and to rewrite your CV every period. You know, even if you have a job already, of course, when you are writing your CV, you are understanding that you are really brilliant person. You know so much things. You know you can do so much activities, so many activities. Yeah. Any other?
I want to say the first and third part was pretty easy. Doesn't do much trouble for me, but second part, why you should hire me. Oh my God, it's it's so much pain. It's I don't know how it worked with it.
Yeah, Vladislav, actually, I remember your homework. We just checked it today. And this part is, it seems that it was the most difficult part for you, yes. And when everybody will answer me the question, I want to make some notice about this part, because I know that this is the most difficult one. And maybe I will share some tips with you how to avoid this difficulty in the future.
Okay.
Anybody else? I remember that, Alexander, your homework was the first one. So was it difficult for you? And which part was the most difficult?
The most difficult part was to record it in quality.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was a lot of pauses, a lot of changing the camera and so on. So in us, and my speaking was not so good. That's why I repeated to make it more comfortable to hear.
Yeah, but you trained several times, I think. Yeah,
I agree with Alexander. I spent around 3 hours to record it.
Wow. Hopefully you will not spend so much time next time.
Yeah.
At least you did it.
Yeah, you all are heroes, because I know how difficult it is to tell about yourself, not to shy, not to be, regular person, because it is not the right place to be a regular person, to be like everybody else. You should be brilliant. And we will train again. Actually, that was the first time. You know nothing or almost nothing about QA right now. And the purpose was to train your ability to connect your previous experience with QA. And you did brilliantly, everybody, you did this part. Because every profession can be connected with QA, because QA is so wide specialization, and every profession could be connected. As for the second part, why should I hire you? Yes, this is the most difficult. Some tips from me. First, don't be trivial and be a salesperson. But the product that you are trying to sell is yourself, your personality, you as a specialist. But all that rules that sales person have for selling some products, all that rules work here as well. And one guy, just that guy who found the job in 2 weeks from starting of this employment process that I mentioned already today, he is from sales actually, and he decided that okay, I am a product, I should sell myself to these guys, and I will use all the techniques that I know about how to sell products, and it should work. And it really worked. So one rule from these techniques is when you try to describe a product, describe characteristics, think about your competitors. Maybe they can say absolutely the same. Could they say that their products do not have that characteristics? For example, if you describe yourself, that will be a very simple example, not from your homeworks, but from my mind right now. I do my job well, for example. I am always on time. So think about your competitors. Will they say, I do my job badly, I'm not always on time, I'm a procrastinator, I cannot do my job? It is impossible, I think. Nobody will tell it. Even if it is true for some person, he's not crazy, he will not tell it on the interview. So if you describe yourself, think about it. Think about, will they say something negative about it or not? And if it is impossible, if they will not say, I do my job badly, so this is not good characteristic of you. You should think about your personality and about how this personality maps to the company culture, maps to company specialization, and so on. Like you are trying to get a job in some young company where everybody overtimes every day, and they are passionate about the product. They want to make this product the best in the world, something like that. So your ambitions, your personality, your readiness to do the same will be your plus. in comparing with other candidates. So, okay, I want to have a young team. I want to have a product that I could contribute to. I'm ready to overtime. I'm ready to be a part of this team. Guys, you are, I don't know, you are doing sports. Okay, I'm a sportsman as well. I do the same. So look at me. I am like you, guys. I will be a part of your team. Another example, some other poll, yeah? You want to have just a simple, calm life. You don't want that drive every day. You just want to go to your job every day and get your salary and so on. And your choice is some, I don't know, government company or some big company, big corporate thing. And you should think about your personality. So guys, okay, I love processes. I love bureaucracy. I love documentation, and I read the documentation from the beginning to the end, and I'm ready to cover your processes with the documentation as well. I'm passionate about some, right things. So show them that you are like them, that you are the part of the team already. So that were two examples. Of course, it depends on the company. It is mandatory to read about the company before you go to the interview. You should know everything about the company that could be get from open sources, from the internet, from maybe some reviews, from feedbacks from the guys. Ideally, if you have somebody in the company already, some friend or some neighbor, I don't know, somebody who knows you and who can share his or her impression from the work of this company, and some things that cannot be get from open sources. So prepare to the interview and show them that you are the right person to be hired in this particular company. It is not about I'm a team player, I can work under stress. Everybody can do it. Why should they hire you particularly as a person? They have 10 people, and everybody said that they are team players, they can work under stress. How should they choose if everybody has the same skills, has the same knowledge? This is the first thing. And the second thing is about company technical specialization. Because in IT, there are a lot of different types of companies. This is game dev, medtech, fintech, I don't know, some maybe completely new web application, artificial intelligence, anything. If your previous profession is connected with this type of company, so for example, you are a lawyer, you are an accountant, and you are trying to get into some fintech company. It could be your profit, it could be your plus, because you know not only QA part, you know the specialization, you know the process, you know the workflow. You could advise something from your experience. You will not just run test cases and do something that was imagined by your colleagues, because you are familiar with the process and you should underline it. before. So, for example, one of our internships started this Monday, and it is a medtech project. Completely new. They are not in production yet, even. And this is the system for hospitals. Without details, of course, but some process for looking in the hospital's databases for places. And in our team, interns team, we have a doctor, actually, and he knows everything about this process. He's familiar with similar systems, and he can advise that guys how to make the product better, because he is not only a QA, he is an end user of this project, of this product, of this application. Okay, and he could advise something. And if you are on the way to be employed to a company that is connected to your previous profession, you should underline it in this second part. And actually, this is a good way to get your first job faster. I'm not talking about you will sit in this company or similar companies the whole life, because maybe it was quite bored for you to do again the same things. But for the first job, for the first 1 or 2 years, maybe in the QA profession, it could be your choice, because you will have the pluses in comparing with other candidates. So your personality, how it maps to the personalities of the guys that are already working for this company, and your previous profession, your previous experience, how this experience is mapped to the specialization of the company. And this is it. You could make your strategy based on that 2 things. Any questions?
No questions, but I am impressed. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. If no questions regarding this part, questions about the company, it was quite good, and I don't want to stay on this more. Other question to student. So, what do you think? When you should start looking for a job? When you are getting ready for the job interviews? What do you think? When?
As soon as
Well,
possible.
No.
Okay, I would, sorry for headbutting. I would think that you need to start looking for a job. Well, it doesn't make much sense to start looking for a job when you don't know much about testing yet. So it says that when the testing course comes to a close, like maybe a couple of weeks yet, you can already start looking for a job.
Okay. Any other opinions?
My opinion is you should look at the market, what the companies need, what skills do they need, what they want from the engineers, and start make your learning
Okay. Yeah.
a little bit confusing saying it in English.
Don't worry. Anything
I
else?
also add
from anybody?
that it's better maybe to look for it as soon as possible, in my opinion. Of course, if we don't know anything yet, it's okay to wait till we have some experience. But in general, I would start like from the very top, from the very beginning, because, for example, in LinkedIn, we need to make a lot of contacts with other people. So it also takes time, and also to see, as previous people said, to see the situation on the market. So what companies are looking for a specialist, which are not. So it's, of course, the deeper search will go a bit later, but in the beginning, it's better to do this general stuff.
Absolutely right, actually. So, what do you think about this girl on this picture? I got my certificate, I'm going to take a little break from studying, I'm going to solve things, and then I'll start responding to vacancies.
I think it depends on how long your break is. I think that if maybe it's a couple of weeks, it's fine, she doesn't need to worry much. But I think that in a month or so, she probably will start forgetting some of the things without practice. So I'd say that the maximum she can wait is, the maximum she can relax is about 2-3 weeks. Then she really needs to start looking.
Yeah, actually, yes. And the right question to this the right answer to this question is the earliest date of starting looking for a job is the beginning of your course, and the latest date of started looking for a job, first day of the internship. So if you are brave enough to start communicating with people, because looking for a job, it doesn't mean that you are sitting on your favorite couch and just scrolling some things and finding some vacancies and sending a feedback, sending your response to this vacancy. It doesn't mean that you are looking for a job. Your correct looking for a job is networking. The more networking you will have, the faster you will get a job. And your networking should include people from several companies, people from QA departments, people from QA teams, and you could start this networking right now, even when you have no or almost no knowledge about QA, because you could begin your discussion, your conversation like, hi, I'm, for example, Michael, and I just started my QA course, and I want to know if this particular knowledge, for example, or this particular skill is expected in your company. And you could start this conversation. Many people in IT are open enough to help. You could join some forums, so you could join some chats in messengers. You could join some maybe chats on LinkedIn, in Reddit, anywhere. And that will be not only answers to your question, but it will be your networking. You could start conversation, you could ask questions to some people from interesting companies, and when you will have that knowledge, when you will have the skills after the course, after the internship, or before the internship, you could come to this person and say, okay, hi Bob, for example, I just got my certificate from the course, congratulate me please, and by the way, do you have a place at your company maybe for me? So please start your networking right now. And you could start this, and of course, you could do actions one by one that are needed to be employed according to our steps that we developed for you. Like video interview about yourself, you already did it. About your past experiences, about your achievements, why should I hire you? And just a notice from me that you will record this interview again in the middle of the course, and you will record this again in the end of the course. So in the middle of the course, you will already have some skills and you could add something to your speech. And in the end of the course, you already will have everything, and you could complete your introduction. The employment lecture, you should read it before this. I think everybody did it. Employment mentor readiness checklist. We will share this checklist with you about middle of the course. It includes 40 plus items to be filled, to be included to the CV, to be included to the cover letter, things about the networking, your accounts in LinkedIn and other networks, social networks maybe. And everything should be filled accordingly in this checklist. Then after the course, after the internship, some of you will have that individual hard hiring mentoring and interviews. Some of you, because not all can approve this activity. It is like an additional job, and that's why somebody decides to do everything by themselves. But I cannot say that it is a good decision, but it is up to you. Then you will get the employment, and you will get the special alumni lecture from us. So to sum up this slide, this part of our today's meeting, the earliest day of starting looking for a job, and that is more important, to start networking, is the beginning of your course. So if you are brave enough, you can start right now. And the latest date to start doing it is the first day of the internship. And for example, again, one guy from one of the groups that are on the internship now, very interesting guy, very active, very proactive, I would say. He asked me today in the morning on the stand-up, may I already put to my LinkedIn profile that I'm working for this company? That means that internship company. I said, yes, of course you can. And right after the stand-up, I opened my LinkedIn profile, and I saw that he added the first job. I'm working as a QA engineer here. So, okay, so he's a QA engineer already for all the LinkedIn guys, and the HRs will come to him already with the propositions. So please be as this guy. he's very active, and I'm sure that he will get his job maybe before the internship will end.
Okay, so basically it's okay to slightly exaggerate your achievements.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay, actually. And the next part of our today's meeting, today's workshop, is about the interview itself, how it goes. What to expect from this strange and scary people. The interview contains 3 main parts. Your introduction and questions from the interviewers to you based on your introduction and your CV, because your CV is sent before the interview. When you are selling yourself, as you did at home. Then, if everything is okay with this part, technical part goes after this. That's why it is very important to provide the best introduction, because I think you know that the impression from people, from a person, came in, I don't know, 2 minutes or something. I cannot say the details about a person, but I have my first impression, and if I used to be based on my first impression in assessing people, this first impression could help or otherwise could prevent your hiring. So, okay, he or she has a lot of knowledge, skills, but I don't like it. I don't like him, I don't like her. I don't know why, but I think that he will not be part of our team. And that's why think twice about your introduction. But okay, say that your introduction is good and that people made a decision to go further to the technical part. How they will check your technical competence? Knowledge, yes, a small part of this, small subpart of this part is checking of your technical knowledge, checking of some definitions. For example, what is equivalence classes technique? For example, how to write this case, maybe something like that. But please keep in mind that this subpart is very short in normal companies. When you will be interviewed by specialists, by QAs, and if it is not, please run out of there. And the main subpart of this technical part is practical, because QA is a specific practical specialization. It is not about coming to your job every day, staying on a chair and telling the definitions to your team. It is not about that. It is about doing your job. It is about ability to complete your working tasks. And that's why this is the main thing that they will check on the interview. How you are able to do your practical working job. You will have tasks. For example, this is the description of an application or some maybe a short functionality of the application. Please cover this functionality with test cases and describe why so. For example, or you have a defect. this defect is faced like that. You see that symptoms on UI. Please localize the defect. Where is it? To what team should it be assigned? Is it on the UI, on backend, on the database? Really, what is the root cause? Something like that. So the main thing that you should know is practice, skills, not this one. So from time to time, you as a junior will be asked about some definitions, but again, it will be not very long part, like maybe 10 minutes, not more. But be ready to be able to resolve tasks and to describe why did you resolve like this. And the last part of the interview is your questions to the company. And you already tried it actually before this. And this is important as well, because this is like a second part to the first introduction part. In the introduction part, you answered the question, why should I hire you? Because I can be a part of your team because of my personality and I know your specialization. And from the questions that you ask in this last part, they could understand how are you motivated to work to this particular company. Because if you ask something similar, something simple like, will I have overtimes? Will I have growing up? How my salary will be? Again, this is the same thing as for your introduction. Don't be trivial. And think about some specific questions that you would ask to this specific company. You, again, should read all the sources that could be accessible from the internet that are open. You could ask somebody who works in this company right now. So you could collect all this information before the interview. And your questions to this particular company should be specific. Like, guys, I know that you started to develop a new product. It seems very interesting for me because, I don't know, I am interested in this topic for my whole life, or it connected with my previous specialization, my previous profession, and that's why I'm passionate to be involved in this. I'm passionate to contribute in this to create a product that you know, that will help my ex-colleagues to be happy. And my question about this product is, will you have such a feature? For example, I know that all your competitors and I know the product that I used previously on my previous job had such a feature. Will you implement this feature as well? And I can advise you how to do it better. Okay, this is just an example from my mind. Don't learn it as the only truth. But I hope that you have got the idea. So find something that is specific for this particular company. And ask questions, ask specific questions that will show that you are familiar with the activity of this company. You are not the guy who just jumping from one interview to another one and cannot remember in the beginning of the interview. So, guys, who are you and where am I right now? I don't know, this is my 10th interview in this day, and I really don't remember who you are. This is not the right strategy. The right strategy is to be prepared to every interview, especially if you are a junior and you are looking for your first job, because you should have something that will be differentiate you from the other juniors. Okay, so be brilliant, be proactive, be you know, outstanding. Questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Is it normal if HR company send for us test task before real interview?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because to be short, why they do it? Typically, in the companies, on the interview, you have 2 interviewers, and in most companies, there are middle or even senior specialists. And their time is very expensive for the company. And a company, most of the companies, even rich companies, even big companies, cannot allow themselves to pay for interviews that will not be successful. And that's why they have the special workflow how to check the candidates before getting them to the interview. So the first step is CV, and that's why it is better to have a cover letter near the CV, because again, this is your plus. That is the thing that will differentiate you from others, because you have not only the CV, but you have a special cover letter. The next step could be a test task that will show your ability to do some job, to do some tasks, some working tasks. And only after it, they could ask you to come to the interview. And actually, this is, I think, good thing, not a bad thing, because interview is a stress. Actually, you came to some stressful conditions. You saw some people that can make a decision about your future life, about your life for the next years. And especially if you are a junior and this is your first job, this is a stress. And maybe your ability to resolve tasks will be not so high because of the stress. But when you are doing a test task from HRs, this is not so stressful thing, because you can sit in your favorite chair at home. You can get your favorite cup of something, I don't know what. And in calm, not stressful conditions, do your task and show the best that you can show. And after that, you will be more confident in yourself on the interview, because you already did the testing task. And you now know that people checked your task and found that the task is not bad. Because if it is bad, they will not invite you to the interview. If they invited, then okay, I'm not so bad. I did the task, the task is accepted by them. So it is not so stressful for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question about interview. Should I repeat about my hard skills on interview? I already wrote it in CV. Is it necessary to repeat? I can do SQL questions and so on.
Actually, there is no rule for that. You could repeat what is written in the CV. You could not repeat what is written in the CV. You could just say that, okay, guys, I listed all my skills in the CV, so I'm open to your questions. The only thing that you should keep in mind that if something is written in the CV, you should be ready to answer questions about this tool or this technology or this skill, because from time to time they come to the interview and you see that there are a lot of things in the CV, a long list of tools, for example, and you ask, okay, you have this tool listed in the CV. So could I ask you questions about this tool? And he answered, no, please don't ask me questions about this tool because I just heard this name. I know nothing about it. I even didn't try it, but I know that this tool is needed for this. Okay, so don't do it. Don't do like this. If you included in something to your CV, be ready to answer questions about this. And maybe the rule is not to be different from your CV. If you want to underline some tools that you are familiar with, the same tools should be in your CV. And if you don't want to underline something, please don't include it to the CV.
May I have a question too?
Yeah.
So, how important the previous experience in previous jobs? So, because, for example, I didn't have a lot of experience in other fields, in other spheres.
I cannot say that it is important. So all my speech was just about if you have this experience, think about how to, cover it into some beautiful paper. And
yeah, I understand.
Give it. If you don't have an experience, okay, so please use other aspects of being confident in yourself. Underline your personality, underline your ability to work in this particular team, your interest to the specialization of this company, something else. So if you don't have experience, okay, find other things.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, so to be more detailed, to be more specific, we have less than 120 days to prepare for the interview, and we actually should have and should develop all that we have on the slide. Knowledge, of course. Why is it working like that? Ability, how to use it in practice, to develop your wish to find a job, and all that collected together will give you needed skills to find a job. And how will we train all that? So you should have soft skills, you should have knowledge, you should have the ability to do some tasks, and you should have the hard skills, of course, to be able to be involved to any job, to any project, to any technology usage. We, again, let me underline it, we will continue training the soft skills, of course, by recording this video again and again. If 3 times it is not enough for you and you feel that it is not enough for you, okay, we could do it more times. And we will train the group work almost every workshop. We will train the ability to discuss a task with your colleagues, because this ability is very important for QA. QA is a collaborative profession. It is not only practical, but a collaborative profession. You should be confident, and you should confront with your colleagues constructive. Yeah, and we will train it. We will have breakout rooms almost every workshop, and you will work in groups or in pairs to train your ability to have a common decision. Knowledge. We will train the knowledge first from the textbook. So we already discussed it previous time, but I will repeat that you should mandatorily read the textbook before going to the workshop. And of course, you should use the mentor expertise, because you are lucky. We all have huge experience in IT, and we could share different practices, different approaches in different companies. So you are a very small group, and again, don't hesitate to ask questions every workshop, and motivate us to share our expertise with you. This is knowledge. Ability. We will have practice, we will have workshops, trainings. Every time, every workshop, we will have a lot of working tasks. Again, you will not have lectures, you will have only tasks to train the usage of knowledge. And of course, you will have homeworks. So be able, please, to find time to complete all the homeworks. And hard skills. Internship. And internship, yes, 2 times. So in the workshops, we will have the special learning application in our sandbox, and we will train some tasks on this application. But it will give you an ability to do it, but not real hard skills. Your real hard skills will be trained on the internship. When you will have the application, a real application of learning, when you will have deadlines, when we will have team, and so on. So Okay. And what will you have in the end of this process? Now I will put you this template, and you could be based on this template during the whole course. Now you see that almost all listed here is in light gray, except of these contacts and some common things, and except of personal mentoring by QA experts. And I could recommend you to have this template and to be back to this template after every module, and to choose that light gray words here and to make them black when you feel that you now you are able to work with this technology. For example, our next module will be the databases, and the databases, where the databases are. 3-tier web applications, for example. This is partially about the database. Then here, defect localization, blah, 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 and database here. And back localization on all the levels of the application, for example. This is partially about the database as well. So when our model is completed and you passed all the homework successfully, you could go to this template, choose these words that are connected with the database and make them black. And by the end of this course, everything should be black here in this template. And you will see that you have all the things that are needed to find a job, all the hard skills. And of course, you should change something in this template, your achievements, for example. You add your previous experience, if any, maybe restructure this template. It is up to you, of course, but anyway, you will see your progress. You will see that the more and more words here are black now, and you feel more and more confident for the interview. Okay. A bit about all that stuff from the CV, all that hard skills that are listed there, and a bit more about this technical part. Why do they expect all that stuff from you? Anyway, you are a QA, you are not an architect, you are not a developer even. Why you should know all that things, why you should know all that stuff? Because this is my favorite image, iceberg image. The application is as an iceberg. 10% of an iceberg is above the water. And it is a visible part, visible for everybody, for tourists, for passengers of Titanic, and so on. But 90% of an iceberg is under the water, and it is not a visible part. And if you are not an investigator of icebergs, if you are not a scientist, if you are not, I don't know who, you cannot see that part. And the same with application. Only 10% defects are visible on the UI. And even if a defect is visible, so you see some error, for example, some message, red message, it doesn't mean that this is a UI defect. Only 10% of defects are connected directly with the UI. And 90% of defects connected with the other parts of the application, with the API, with databases, with the network integration, with the integration with third-party services, some third-party applications. And in the end, with operating system and some other environments. Configuration of the application, configuration of the system, configuration of the environment for testing or for production, anyway. And that's why they expect the knowledge of all that from you on the interview. Because, okay, some years ago, market needed a lot of QAs. It was a lot of applications, and a lot of QAs were needed with any qualifications, actually. And this myth about the QA is a light, easy way to enter to the IT, and this is a simple profession. This myth is from that years, when a market needed a lot of any people who just can switch the computer on and press buttons in special order. But it is not about the current market. We have a myth still, we have the story, and a lot of people believed in this story and believe now in this. But it is not true for a current market, because the current market needs professionals, needs good QAs, needs the QAs who can understand the root cause of any defect, who can work with application on any level, not only with 10% UI things, but with that 90% underwater. And that's why they expect all that knowledge, all that competency from you. And that's why in our course, we will learn on all that stuff. Now I just describe you all the modules, and then please ask me questions, because maybe something is not very obvious. Why do we need it? But I will try to explain. We will start from the very bottom part of the application of three-tier web application, from the databases. This is my favorite, okay, one of my favorite modules. I will read it. So we will meet again next time. It will be the story about the relational databases, about how to understand the database structure, and about how to manage the database, how to get the data from the database, and how to put the data to the database. And all that are really needed for QA, because it is impossible to understand the application without understanding the structure of the database. That is the first one. And the second one, you as a tester will work with the test data. And if you have something in the application, it really doesn't mean that you have enough data to check everything. So your task from time to time will be to prepare some new data to check something in the application. And to do it, you should be able to work with a database directly or through the API, but anyway, you should be able to understand the structure and to understand how to put the data to the database. That will be your first module. Then we will go to Linux and networks. From time to time, I was asked why Linux, because the most of people work on Windows, so why should we know something about Linux? Because first, Windows is typically an operating system for a client machine, where end users sit and do some UI typical users tasks. But if we will talk about that underwater part of the application, there will be a server or servers, different servers. There will be the API and no Windows there, actually. Typically, this is Linux. And if your task will be to go to the server and to understand what has happened to it and how to resolve this problem, and your only competence is Windows, you will not be able to understand the problem. This is the first one. The next one, the mobile applications. Maybe it sounds strange, but actually, in the root of mobile applications, we have Linux as well. Yes, with some beautiful coverage, as Android, for example, but actually it is Linux. And if your goal is to find a job in mobile development, you should know Linux. The third part about this, Linux is not so easy, complicated enough operating system with some specific, but some parts, some objects are the same with the same principle of work as on Windows. So if you know how processes work on Linux, likely you will be able to understand how processes work on Windows. Okay, Linux, again, has some specific objects, but many things are the same. And the fourth part is the command line. You stepped to the IT, you are not a regular users anymore. And you should be able not to work with graphical user interface, but with a command line. If you are not able to work with a command line, you are not an engineer, sorry, nobody will respect you. It should be your ability, mandatory ability, because, okay, if you will not have a user interface, what will you do? And it is a very typical situation in IT when you don't have a user interface. So 4 things, and everything will be considered in this module. You will not be afraid of command line. You will be able to understand how the operation system works, and you actually will be a real engineer after this. Then, even maybe more difficult part is networks. So, what happens when you put the URL to address line in a browser, like show me beautiful, nice cats now, and press enter, and you see that kittens on your screen. But what has happened before you pressed enter and you saw that kitten on your screen? Everything will be described here in networks module. Then the API. Of course, you, I think, understand that without the ability to test the API, you cannot be called an engineer. And in this module, you will understand the requests and responses, the API work principles, different protocols, different codes, all that stuff, and how this API is connected to the UI part and to the operating system part. The web UI part, again, this is obvious because we remember about the 10% of bugs that are real web UI bugs. And we should be able to understand when it is really connected to the UI, when it is some, JavaScript problem, when it is the problem of this graphical control, how to change, how to manage all that controls, how to get the information about this particular button, for example, or this field or something. This is the web UI. Troubleshooting. This is very specific, very interesting module that collected, merged all the things that you learned before, from databases to the web UI. And this is about bugs localization. This is about how to understand what has happened. If you came to your job and see some error from the server and cannot understand what has happened, and if the server is working right now, or maybe something with the network, maybe something with the API. So how to manage all that stuff, how to understand the root cause of the problem. And you will have all that knowledge in your mind. And here you will try to merge everything and to localize the problems. So this is the specific technical part, not directly connected to the testing specific things. But you cannot be a tester without all that knowledge. You cannot be a test engineer. And from this part, we will learn testing specific tasks based on this IT knowledge. We will talk about testing itself, testing types, testing levels. Of course, test documentation, defects, test cases, checklists, and so on. About how to work with customer requirements, how to analyze, how to even write them, because not all the companies have their own analysts and their own written requirements. From time to time, tester team is the team who is responsible for preparing the requirements. Then, of course, test design, deep enough, not only equivalence classes and boundary value analysis, but a lot of other things. And then the last part of our course is automation basics. We will not learn you how to automate because it doesn't make sense actually for fresh tester to learn together manual testing and automation in one course. But we will tell you a bit about the automation team and how to communicate with them, how they write code, how we can contribute in this communication and in this part of testing. And in the very end of the course, some tools will be described: Docker, Git, and maybe something else. So I already am talking for a long time, so please tell me something, ask me some questions about this.
Well, I don't really have any questions at the moment. You explained everything well and in minute detail.
Michael, sorry, I cannot hear you well. Could you please try to maybe more?
Okay, it doesn't matter. You have explained everything well and in minute detail, so I have no questions.
Okay, great, Michael. I am glad. Maybe somebody else has questions. Yes.
Actually, I say it for the, I don't know, third time. This lecture is opened and previous were open too, so.
Okay. I didn't think about it. Okay. So we can go to the next part, yes?
Yeah.
Guys, team?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So a little ad integration for the people who are watching us. On the YouTube, we here are talking about a professional approach. And to show all this, to share all that knowledge that I listed on the previous slide, educators, mentors should be very motivated because it is hard to explain all that. And the main motivation should be improving of the quality of IT. And of course, to put all that knowledge to students' minds, the interest of the students should come before the interest of the school. Otherwise, the students will not know all that stuff. We all enroll here after professional orientation and testing because you can see that the course is not very easy, and it is not possible to learn here if you are not a motivated person, if you have not a technical mind. But all our students have this. And our KPI is the number of successful careers of graduates. And I'm pretty sure in the result, and I'm sure that all the students that came here today, 2.5 times more likely can find a QA job than students of other platform, and even 6 times more often than students of major learning platforms. And we still have some free seats in nearby groups, even in the current one. The nearest Russian-speaking group will be in September if you are not very confident in your English. And welcome to our preliminary tests to make you confident, at least in your motivation and your ability to be a QA. Even if you're not confident in your English, you should be confident at least in this. That was the end of our integration. And what comes next? As I already said, the next step is the databases part. next time we will talk about entity relational diagrams and how to read them. You already have the textbook in the learning management system in Moodle. So if you didn't read it, please do it 24 hours before the next class. And actually, this is the end of translation to the YouTube. Stop live stream. All the links are under the